Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Dialogue. I'm Taimur Shamil. This week too was active on the foreign policy front for Pakistan. Prime Minister Imran Khan was on his visit to Malaysia, and not certainly for the first time. He has been visiting Malaysia before. Pakistan is improving its relations with a very friendly nation, Malaysia, and also the leader of Prime Minister of Malaysia, Mahathir Mohamad, visited Pakistan last year in March. Both countries have been improving their relation. Interestingly, Malaysia was also very vocal about Kashmir, the issue of Kashmir. It is concerned about the plight of Muslims in the region, for that matter, and this is something that Pakistan values regarding Malaysia. Prime Minister was there with his high delegation to improve the relation between two states. Also keeping in mind that Prime Minister also skipped the Kuala Lumpur summit, which certainly was important, and that's what Prime Minister said, that he should have been there, but he regrets that there are countries in the Muslim world which also think that this could have, brought and divide in the Muslim Ummah, for that matter. But still, relations are improving of Pakistan and Malaysia, and Pakistan will continue to play its part as a mediator, as also a bridge between states, as a peace builder in the region. We're going to discuss about Pakistan-Malaysia relations, how interestingly Prime Minister Imran Khan himself looks up to Mahathir Mohamad, the respected leader of the Muslim world, the things that he has introduced in Malaysia, for that matter, and what Pakistan can learn, let's say, or how Malaysia and Pakistan can improve their relations in future. Both have a lot of opportunities that they can work on. There's a huge area in terms of trade that Pakistan and Malaysia can focus on. And also we'll discuss about Pakistan's foreign policy, Pakistan's proactive foreign policy, and how we are reaching out to other states and improving our relations with countries in the region and worldwide. With our special guest in the studios, our first guest is Ms. Sama Nadeem. She is member of National Assembly from Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. She is also the Parliamentary Secretary from Ministry of Inter-Provincial Coordination. Welcome to the show, Ms. Nadeem.
Thank you for having me over.
And second guest is Ambassador Naela Chohan, renowned expert on Pakistan's foreign policy and senior diplomat from Pakistan Foreign Office. Welcome to the show, Ambassador Chohan.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Nadeem, starting with Prime Minister's visit to Malaysia. This is the second time that he is visiting Malaysia. And Prime Minister Imran Khan, even before becoming the Prime Minister, he used to talk about Mahathir Mohamad as a leader. How do you see this relationship of two leaders, Prime Minister Imran Khan and Mahathir Mohamad?
I feel that they both have the same vision, and basically this the camaraderie that they have, the vision of having the similar goals that they want to achieve. And I think probably our Prime Minister has been looking up to him before also, like you mentioned. So this time and before that also, and he invited him on 23rd March also last year. So that shows that the kind of goals of evading corruption out of our country, and then a peaceful stability, a stable country, and bridging the gaps between in the world that we are facing. These are few of the goals that he's looking at, and I think it will go a long way. This is like solidifying the relationship that we have between the two countries, and this is like fortifying the relationship to another level. And for that we may be looking at the trade. And at this time, I think there are a lot of people that they have called at those meetings, and those people from the different organizations, the Malaysian organizations, the trade organizations, that they are going to be there, were there, and I feel they have talked about the trade that is going to prosper in our country, in this manner.
Right. And
so it's a good omen.
Right. Ambassador Naela, how do you see this relationship? And this is probably the first time that Prime Minister is proactively reaching out to other countries, especially in the Far East, for that matter. Pakistan-Malaysia relationship, and you have served Pakistan and Malaysia. Tell us about that, Pakistan-Malaysia relationship.
Well, thank you so much for this question. Pakistan established its diplomatic relations with Malaysia in 1957. but our history of relationship has been up and down. After the 1965 war, in the UN Security Council, the then representative of Malaysia had taken a position which was very unfortunate, and the then government decided to sever relations with Malaysia. So that was really the rock bottom of our bilateral relations. But within 1 year, both sides realized that they were important countries for each other, and the relationship was then revived, and it had been strengthened over the period that we are talking about. But if you talk about the current government, it is really commendable that within 1.5 years, you have had 3 VVIP visits, 2 of our Prime Minister, and then Dr. Mahathir came to Pakistan last year to participate as guest of honor on 23rd of March, which is a very
Symbolic
and auspicious occasion for Pakistanis. But would you know that the Constitution of Malaysia was drafted by a Pakistani judge, Justice Hamid? Most of our rules and regulations and laws were emulated by Malaysia. And as you mentioned, I was there, and once we had the pleasure of talking to Dr. Mahathir, and we asked what was the secret that Malaysia became the Asian tiger. And he smiled and said, "We have taken all rules and regulations from Pakistan. The only difference is we implemented them." So I think there's a lot of commonality. There's a great potential, and as you said, currently our foreign policy is very proactive. Even in the recent episode in Iran, we had a very important role to play. Then in the Gulf, we have a very important role. So Alhamdulillah, Pakistan is respected, and Pakistan is sought after when it comes to mediations and facilitations.
We are going to take a break, and after the break, we'll be right back with our discussion on foreign policy. Welcome back. We are discussing Pakistan's foreign policy this week and Prime Minister's visit to Malaysia. Ms. Emma, it takes a lot of courage nowadays, especially for leaders, for nations and states to take a moral stand on the violation of human rights for that matter. We saw what is happening in Indian occupied Kashmir. Mahathir Mohamad talked about it. Malaysia was vocal about it, so much so that India at a moment was talking not to import palm oil from Malaysia because they were not very happy with the statements coming out from Malaysia. This moral stand that Malaysia has taken, Mahathir Mohamad has taken, how do you see it? And do you think that this is further going to improve our relations, and there should be a lot of things that we can do for Malaysia for that matter?
I think it was much needed, and this is what we were looking for, and this is what our Prime Minister is looking for. Because if you see him since the time he became the Prime Minister, the only main quest that he's been, other than the peace and stability in the region, he's been looking at the voicing the concern of Indian occupied Kashmiris, and that is, you know, because not because that we have borders with Kashmir and India, and certainly last year you can see we had some boiling moments also, but it is because of the violations that has been carried out over there, and this is what had to be voiced throughout the world, which we, not just us, the Muslim Ummah, I mean, we thought that they should have also realized the same thing, that why wasn't this being carried over in the world now? We see so many other issues being talked about, but why do they put down this particular thing which has been going on for the last 70 years, and we've not been able to completely see anything. In fact, it is now on the verge of being boiled over, because now is the time. If you don't do anything about it, then there might be chances of something bigger like a nuclear war. So to maintain the peace and stability in the region, this had to be done, and I'm happy that these countries have come on board, and they are behind us, and this is what our Prime Minister, I feel, has done to achieve this end.
And Ambassador Naela, there are very few countries which are talking about the violation of human rights, as we are discussing. Malaysia, Pakistan, Turkey, maybe one or two more other countries we can say. Prime Minister also talked about the plight of the Rohingyas, talked about Myanmar for that matter, and Kashmir. These are the issues that concern Pakistan and Malaysia both. What do you think about this? The violation of human rights in the region, and two countries, Malaysia and Pakistan, taking a stand on it, stance on it. How do you see it?
Well, firstly, if we speak of our own Prime Minister, he has been very articulate at all international fora in highlighting the human rights violations against the civilian population under occupation. So that really goes to his credit. But if you had gone through the press takeout of the two leaders during the recent visit, Prime Minister Mahathir again reiterated the position, and he highlighted Malaysia's position on standing together on causes of interest to Ummah, which included Rohingya, which included Palestine and Kashmir. But I must highlight here that for a leader of Malaysia to be so articulate on it is really commendable, because Malaysia comprises three ethnic groups: the Chinese origin, the Indian origin, and of course the Malays. So having a strong 11% of Indian community in his own country, and then pressure from India itself for Mahathir to stand up and speak up is commendable. But he is known and respected because of his principled position, and we in Pakistan have always admired him. The Prime Minister has stated his views on it, but it is also a matter of gratification that Pakistan's foreign policy is so proactive that after a very long time, this issue, which was somehow being brushed under the carpet, has been highlighted and it is being spoken about at international fora.
Right. And Ms. Ahmed, there was a lot of hue and cry about the Kuala Lumpur summit because Prime Minister Imran Khan couldn't attend the summit, though the plans were there that he was going to attend, but we saw what happened earlier. Prime Minister Imran Khan also said that he regretted that he couldn't attend the Kuala Lumpur summit. But do you think that now when he visited, both countries are on the same page as far as addressing the major concerns? How do you see it?
You see, it may be possible that to make up for the lost opportunity that he had at that time, and that was also, I must say, not to create any conflict in the Muslim Ummah. That was the main reason that he stayed back, because this was not what was on his mind. In fact, it was on the opposite side, that he rather wanted that the countries should be on the same page. But when at that time we saw the concerns of the Saudi and their allies and probably it invoked because of a speech by the Prime Minister Mahathir, and I think because of that, I would say just as intense, they thought that they were going to have a parallel leadership through this summit, and because of the Qatar Amir and the two countries, the Turkish Prime Minister and the Iranian, that was the main reason. But you know, I think this is why probably he's gone there, but this will make a difference, because there were a lot of lost agendas that could be discussed at that time, and which he's going to discuss now, and which he did. And not just that, the trade was another factor, because trade brings people together. And even if you look back at the last meeting in the United States that he went to with, and he had with Trump, that he did not focus on the peace and security at that time. What he focused was to have bilateral relationship, and because that brings people together. And when you have trade, like India has trade in different countries, then you create a diaspora. You have more people living in there, working there, and voicing your concerns. So this is what we are looking at, and I'm sure his visit has created what he had planned.
And Mr. Naela, how do you see this Kuala Lumpur summit, and now that Prime Minister visited Malaysia, he talked about, he regretted rather that he couldn't join the Kuala Lumpur summit, but still the relations are strong between Pakistan and Malaysia, and Pakistan's role as a bridge builder now, as a peace builder. How do you see that?
Well, it is very important that any misgivings are clarified, and for a statesman to state it, that he is sorry that he missed the earlier summit, is a statesmanship, and it also created that confidence, because having missed it, it might have created some doubts in the host. But this is amazing that he raised the topic himself, and he said that he regretted it, and he said that he would be attending the next summit, and this was an important step for confidence building, in my view, and I'm sure it will have very positive results, particularly when we are looking to seeking direct investments, when we are looking to improving our exports, because in this visit there will be discussion on the items that Pakistan can export to Malaysia, and also to have their investments, because if you recall, in Prime Minister Mahathir's visit to Pakistan and the previous visit of our Prime Minister, both sides were led by business delegations. So business is an important area that both governments are looking at.
And keeping a balance, Ms. Saima, in foreign policy is very important. There might be camps, let's say, in the Muslim world, but Pakistan is neutral. We are not part of any camp, let's say. And I think the message of not attending Kuala Lumpur summit was this, that we don't want to be in any one camp. We have our good relations with Saudi Arabia, good relations with Iran for that matter, Qatar and all the countries. How do we keep balanced relations with all countries while we have interestingly strong relations in opposing camps? How do you do it?
Well, this is how he did it. Actually, we should give full marks to him for this. That although he was supposed to attend the summit, but he wanted them also to be on the same page, and he wanted the other side also to be present there, and that the time will also come that they're going to be together on the entire issues that we are facing, because the issues are the same. We are talking about the Muslims, we are talking about their concerns, and I guess previous governments have done a lot, I'm sure they have, but the only thing missing was to pull them together in one pool, and this is what he's right now working at. And you can see that he's talked to Iran, he's talked to, and they're all different camps. But now that you see those camps, maybe right now one of the camps or the other camp, but if you diffuse the divide, then obviously he's the one who's the mediator in the whole game. So this is how we look at it, and I'm sure he's going to come out as a leader in the long run.
Right. And Mr. Naela, Prime Minister Imran Khan has been very vocal about exposing the nexus of BJP with RSS. He has been vocal about exposing, rather, I would say, BJP and the way they're dealing with minorities in India. Prime Minister was very vocal at United Nations General Assembly, and he exposed the nexus of RSS and BJP over there. Pakistan has been vocal about it, so is Malaysia, because there is a threat of the rise of Hindutva in the region. We see what is happening in Myanmar, for that matter, this violence against Muslims over there, violence against Muslims in Kashmir. How can we collectively fight this rise of Hindutva, let's say, this extremism, I would call it, in the region, Pakistan and Malaysia?
There is definitely a rise in extremism and right-wing extremism. The Ummah has to stand together. There has been a conversation in OIC about it. Even there was a special resolution in OIC on this particular issue. There has been traditionally a resolution on Kashmir in OIC, but given the current situation, there was a special resolution on this. And Mahathir has been very articulate, and both leaders spoke of talking about Islamophobia also, that we have to address this issue, that this media projection of Muslims as terrorists or extremists is incorrect. Muslims are peaceful people, peace-loving people, and this has to be shown to the world. And Malaysia and Pakistan both have strong voices in international fora. So when we join hands, I'm confident that we'll be able to create that image that the Ummah requires.
Right. And Ms. Sharma, on one side, India wants to become a hegemon in the region, rather a bully in the region, as Ambassador Naela said, that talking about this rise of Hindutva, let's say, condemning what is happening in Kashmir, for that matter, having a constituency of 10 to 11% of Indians as you call it, in Malaysia, is tough for a politician, for a statesman, for that matter. This stance that Malaysia has taken, how can Pakistan and Malaysia collectively work on countering this extremism, this right wing in India, and the role of India as a hegemon?
You're very right. The role of hegemony, I would say, has been going on from Indian side for decades now, and as you can see, the wars that we had with India shows the same the concept that they have about being the superior class or the superior country in this region, and this has been increasing. And now that you see the rise of RSS, and which is this concept has been there for quite some time, because if you see Modi's background, you see the Babri Masjid, and then the Solar also, yes. And now there is an uprising in their own country also, because of the same mistakes that he's doing, and he's been now, and this is going against him in the world, because people are realizing what thinking or what kind of the Nazism that he's creating again. So I feel these are the things which will go against him. And right now, if the countries like Malaysia and Pakistan are on the same page, and we are talking about the same things, that's going to help the countries in the long run. And I feel that the other countries will realize it soon, because this is not just a small thing, that this is going to engulf the whole region ultimately.
We're going to continue our discussion after this break, and we're going to discuss about Pakistan's foreign policy, proactive foreign policy, as we see in the visit of Prime Minister visit to Malaysia, and then we'll be discussing about Middle East as well, the way Prime Minister himself and earlier Shah Mahmood Qureshi, Pakistan Foreign Minister, was visiting the Middle Eastern states. After this break, stay with us. Welcome back. We are discussing Pakistan's foreign policy, and this week Prime Minister's visit to Malaysia. Ambassador Naela, this time in this government, how do you evaluate Pakistan's foreign policy, diplomacy for that matter? Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has been some people think he has been very active in reaching out to different states. Prime Minister himself, Prime Minister, by the way, himself visited Iran, Saudi Arabia, US for that matter. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi, after the recent standoff between United States and Iran, he visited Iran, Saudi Arabia, and then United States. How do you evaluate, see Pakistan's foreign policy?
Alhamdulillah, Pakistan's foreign policy has been very positive, very proactive, and quite in line with Quaid-e-Azam's vision. Because if you recollect Quaid-e-Azam's vision of how he saw Pakistan in the future and its foreign policy, which is good relations with all, aggression towards none, we have been pursuing that foreign policy. But in the recent times, you can see that Pakistan again played a very positive role in maintenance of peace and stability in the region. Like you said, the foreign minister, on the instructions of Prime Minister, visited the regional countries. The Prime Minister himself visited the regional countries, and they all appreciated Pakistan's role, and they all trusted Pakistan for it, because you cannot mediate if the parties concerned do not have the same level of trust, and this neutrality and balance facilitates that trust. So in that sense, I would say that the recent developments are manifestation of the success of Pakistan's foreign policy. And if you come to Malaysia, which was our main topic, you could see that although our relations are well rooted, well founded, but there had been no institutional system of bilateral consultations. So this is the first time that in 2018 we had our bilateral consultations as an institutional mechanism, which again is a proof of the success of foreign policy and the vision of the government.
And Mr. Chairman, we can certainly strengthen our ties with the neighboring countries with Malaysia for that matter, by strengthening our trade with Malaysia and with other countries. Are we working on it? Do we have a mechanism over there domestically? What kind of things, let's say, we will be exporting to these countries, and what can we import from these countries? Is there any trade mechanism on the foreign policy front, let's say?
I think the MOUs that were prepared this time also, we already have, if you compare the last trade input that we did, we have increased it by 2.5%, which is a big achievement in just 1.5 years. And then this time also, when they went there, there were about 3 major companies which are headed towards Pakistan to invest here. One of them, EDOT Engineering Goods, and then we see the Proton, which is the manufacturing company, the automobile industry, and they are already on it, and they have already signed it, but between 20 to 21 they're going to be the spare parts of those cars available here. So basically we are actually on the verge of it, and there are many other sectors that we are looking at. We have the palm oil, which already that has been going on, but this time I think we are more serious about it to increase the trade that we already had with them. And other than that, we feel that these countries, not just the trade that you mentioned about, but these countries, because they have the similar, we have similar goals, so there should be more a camaraderie between the entire bloc that we have, that the entire bloc of the South Asian bloc, we can say, the Middle East bloc that we can call, and it should be made more proactive, and our policy is actually mainly diverted towards that.
Right. And Ambassador Naela, what do you suggest, and what would you suggest when it comes to, let's say, Far East or Malaysia specifically? What areas should Pakistan focus on? Pakistan's foreign policy should focus on. Malaysia is creating space for the Pakistani people to work over there in Malaysia. A lot of Pakistani people are already working over there. Geostrategically and in terms of trade, what areas would you suggest where we can focus on?
For Pakistan, it's very important to further strengthen its trade relations with Malaysia. As you know, they are as a bloc ASEAN, and we have been sectoral partners of ASEAN since the 90s. Actually, when we were there, we were successful in getting that sectoral partnership, but we have to upgrade it to dialogue partnership. And the problem in upgrading was basically the level of trade was not commensurate to that requirement. So we need to further promote our trade relations, that we can then jump from sectoral partnership to dialogue partnership. Unfortunately, ASEAN had decided to have a moratorium on inclusion of new members as dialogue partners, but that gives us time to build up our trade to that level. And I think we need to work on it, and you can see that the Prime Minister's focus has been this. And as we spoke of earlier on also, the current exchange of delegations comprise trade-oriented representatives, and therefore one is confident that positive developments will come up. But I wonder if we have any institutional mechanism, which you were asking about. That would come only if we have that dialogue partnership with ASEAN.
And in order to improve our relations, Ms. Emma, certainly we have to work on production, because so far what we are doing is that our people go abroad and they work over there, but in terms of trade, if we want to improve our relations, we need to work on production. True. And last 14-15 years somehow were consumed by terrorism and extremism that we saw in Pakistan. We were fighting this war and we fought it successfully, but still we have to work on production. Is there any province-wise, area-wise policy on this, that we should be working on this trade thing, production thing, and then we can collaborate with the outside world?
Basically, we have been working on creating the economic zones and the trade zones in the country, which should have been done before, but obviously it will not, it will take some time. Otherwise, our main focus of this regime, that you can say, is mainly to open our doors towards having more exports, that we can send things from here, and for that obviously we need to increase our production. And we do see a little bit of import also. The import that meanwhile that we are increasing our production to export, that will have to be done. But to that level, before that, we have to counter the terrorism, counter all those negative negativity from our country, so that more trade can be brought in, and that will create more production actually, to have trade partnerships with on the public sector and the private sector together. And I do see hope in it. I do see a lot of activity in it. It's not just hope, there is positive activity in it.
Right. And Ambassador Naela, your concluding remarks on Pakistan-Malaysia relationship, what is the future now? How do you see the future of Pakistan and Malaysia relationship? As you said earlier, Prime Minister has visited Malaysia twice, and once Dr. Mahathir Mohamad was here in Pakistan. What is the future of Pakistan-Malaysia relationship?
I see a very bright future for Pakistan-Malaysia bilateral relations. You can see there's a very strong chemistry between the two leaders. They have similar vision for improvement of lives of the people, whether people of Pakistan or people of Malaysia. Focusing on trade by both countries will further contribute to that vision, and inshallah, together I think we will be able to achieve our targets of mutual interest.
Right, right. Ms. Sharma, Member National Assembly, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your time. Ambassador Naela, thank you for your time. Pleasure having you on the show. That's all from today's dialogue. See you next time. Khuda Hafiz.